Beatus Petrum Georgium Frassati et Carlo Acutis.
It was a viral moment for millions around the world, the canonization of Carlo Acutis.
Se da una parte la celebrazione è molto solenne, è anche un giorno di molta gioia.
The young tech teen from Milan received his blue check from the Vatican, serving as inspo for those witnessing the Mass live.
Good morning, this is Juan Camilo from Rome, from Vatican City.
And influencing young people around the world.
One thing about Carlo Acutis is that he is almost like this influencer for God.
We take a look at how he used the internet to share and repost God's word, becoming one of the church's most clicked Catholics. And the first millennial saint.
He was around our age, so we can look up to him and try to do things that he did.
Right now on Currents News, his growing reach from Brooklyn and Queens to all over the world. The life and legacy of God's influencer, St. Carlo Acutis.
Hi, I'm Christine Persichetti. Welcome to this special edition of Currents News dedicated to the first millennial saint. An estimated 70,000 people traveled to the Vatican to witness the canonization of Carlo Acutis. But all eyes were on the Holy See, eagerly watching as a young man from Milan became an inspo for people in Brooklyn and around the world.
St. Peter's Square was packed hours before the canonization of Blesseds Carlo Acutis and Pier Giorgio Frassati. And just 15 minutes before the Mass, Pope Leo XIV appeared to greet the young people in attendance.
Volevo dire un saluto e una parola a tutti voi, perché se da una parte la celebrazione è molto solenne, è anche un giorno di molta gioia.
During the Mass, the prefect for the causes of saints approached the altar alongside the postulators of both causes and read their biographies.
Il beato Pier Giorgio Frassati, nato a Torino il 6 aprile 1901, morì a 24 anni il 4 luglio 1925. Il beato Carlo Acutis, nato a Londra il 3 maggio 1991. Morì nel territorio dell'Arcidiocesi di Milano il 12 ottobre 2006.
Then, for the first time as pontiff, Pope Leo pronounced the Latin formula, canonizing his first two saints.
Beatus Petrum Georgium Frassati et Carolum Acutis, sanctus esse discernimus et definimus.
St. Carlo Acutis' entire family was on hand, including his mother and his two siblings, twins who were born 4 years after his death. His brother read the first reading in English.
For the reasoning of mortals is worthless, and our designs are likely to fail.
In his homily, the Holy Father encouraged young people to follow the example of the Church's newest saints.
I santi Pier Giorgio Frassati e Carlo Acutis sono un invito rivolto a tutti noi, soprattutto ai giovani, a non sciupare la vita, ma a orientarla verso l'alto e a farne un capolavoro.
It wasn't just the family of St. Carlo Acutis that was invited to the canonization. One woman who took part in the celebration has a special connection to the first millennial saint.
Por el santo pueblo de Dios, para que acogiendo
That's
con
Valeria
alegría
Vargas
la
Valverde,
palabra
whose miracle, thanks to the intercession of the teen from Milan, finally helped Carlo reach sainthood. The young Costa Rican woman was saved from a nearly fatal head injury she got in 2022 after a bicycle accident in Florence, where she was studying. One Diocese of Brooklyn influencer was personally invited to the canonization by St. Carlo Acutis' mom.
Good morning, this is Juan Camilo from Rome, from Vatican City. Look at the crowd.
Award-winning international recording artist Juan Camilo Perez was one of the thousands in St. Peter's Square. He'll join us later in this newscast straight from the airport. That's coming up. Celebrations for St. Carlo didn't just happen in Rome. The good news about the young man from Milan was being shared and reposted all over the world, including in the Diocese of Brooklyn, where young people were excited to follow in the footsteps of a saint just like them. Currents News' Katie Vasquez has that story from Greenpoint.
Just like the crowds gathered in Rome, young people came together at the San Damiano mission in Greenpoint to honor the day the first millennial saint was canonized.
You know, they are getting kind of their recognition for living their holy lives.
Grace Lugo has a devotion to now St. Carlo Acutis, who she credits with helping her through graduate school.
One thing about Carlo Acutis is that he is almost like this influencer for God. Even before we had social media, a lot of young people who are growing in the faith, a lot of it is because of online, it's because of social media, and he's kind of like our patron. He's like the one who did it first.
Mike DeLuise was elated at the canonization of St. Pier Giorgio Frassati.
Wow, he was a man of the Beatitudes. He was someone who served the poor. He was like a guy's guy, but always encouraging his friends to live a Christian life.
It's a special moment for the Catholic Church, canonizing two young men born within the last century.
Praise thee, Jesus Christ.
The director of youth and young adult ministry for the Diocese of Brooklyn, Father James Caroli, hopes this group will be inspired and spread the word to others.
It's an inspiration for me to be able to allow them to really preach the gospel to myself, to other priests, to other adults. You know, oftentimes we're the ones that are out there teaching our young people when in reality they're teaching us.
There were also two relics of each saint on display, a small lock of Carlo's hair and a cloth belonging to Frassati. After Mass, Stephen Lee took time to venerate Carlo's relic.
I've been so inspired by his life, how much he's had an impact on everyone around him and for the church.
A Mass was also held at Our Lady of Hope in Middle Village to make sure both boroughs had a chance to pray for the newest saints. In Greenpoint, Katie Vasquez, Currents News.
Bishop Robert Brennan was celebrating Carlo's canonization even before it went live. The Brooklyn Shepherd joining the young people at Our Lady Queen of Martyrs Church in Forest Hills the Friday before to celebrate the first millennial saint. The Mass and Adoration were organized by the Diocese of Brooklyn's Youth and Young Adult Ministry. Relics of St. Carlo Acutis and the other young man canonized this weekend, St. Pier Giorgio Frassati, were also available for veneration. There could be even more untold miracles as students throughout the Diocese of Brooklyn have been able to venerate a relic of St. Carlo. In 2021, 7 strands of his hair traveled to schools across Brooklyn and Queens. The relic was then displayed at Sacred Heart of Jesus Church in Bayside. The pastor of the Queens Church, Monsignor Thomas Mahalski, saying it would evangelize the faithful of the diocese.
We're going to have the intercession of Blessed Carlo to help us in our evangelization outreach.
The relic traveled for about a year before returning to its final home in Bayside. Another Queens parish celebrated the first millennial saint with a statue on his feast day last year, which is October 12th. Hundreds of young people from Our Lady of Sorrows packed the pews for this Mass and dedication of a St. Carlo statue. The image from Italy features the teen about to play soccer with his beloved family dog waiting happily by his side. It was part of an almost 3-year campaign by the church's Order of Christian Initiation of Children program. Pastor Father Manuel de Jesus Rodriguez says the students were excited to learn about the tech-savvy teen who promoted the Eucharist to the world online.
The kids are very much welcoming of Carlo. They like him a lot. You know, they really very much involved in you know, in everything about his life. They visited his website. They really like the story and the person of Carlo.
After the Mass, the church continued the celebration with ice cream. The statue in Corona is one of many in the Diocese of Brooklyn. The first one was unveiled in 2022 at the diocese's annual Italian Apostolate celebration. The tribute to Carlo was permanently installed in a shrine at Our Lady of Mount Carmel Church in Williamsburg. Another statue is at St. Joseph Church in Astoria. The teen who died from leukemia at the age of 15 is featured in a shrine with two other saints connected to cancer. And as we mentioned earlier, there's also a statue and relic at Sacred Heart of Jesus Church in Bayside. St. Carlo isn't just inspiring statues, he's inspiring classrooms. Before his canonization, Incarnation Catholic Academy in Queens Village dedicated a classroom to Carlo Acutis, encouraging a different kind of lesson. Currents News' Katie Vasquez shows us.
Who's a 15-year-old?
Kids in Catholic schools do more than reading, writing, and arithmetic.
Everything you can about.
They're also growing in faith. And at Incarnation Catholic Academy in Queens Village, students now have a space dedicated just for that.
I said, look, we're going to have a new saint. We have to have models. We have to have better witness.
That model is what will soon be the church's first millennial saint, Blessed Carlo Acutis. The Italian teen brought people around the world closer to Christ by creating a website of all the Eucharistic miracles.
Carlos had a special love for God.
And through this classroom dedicated to him at Incarnation, kids can learn and relate to his life.
He was around our age, so we can look up to him and try to do things that he did.
Did you know that he was a patron of youth and computer programmers?
And his strong faith.
Not that older than us, and he had to receive confirmation once too.
The parish of Incarnation, St. Gerard Majella, hopes this space will inspire the youth to get closer to Christ and be a catechist like Carlo.
So if someone's like down or they're upset about something and they feel like they want to pray, they could come here.
There are still some updates to come to Carlo's classroom, like a smart board and 3D printer. But Incarnation Catholic Academy Board Chair, Father Joseph Jude Gannon, says the spiritual and technical elements are all things the tech whiz turned soon-to-be saint would appreciate.
He used technology for evangelization. He used technology to outreach to the world. And that's really what we're all called to do, especially a Catholic school.
In Queens Village, Katie Vasquez, Currents News.
We have more coverage of Carlo's canonization coming your way. We get a personal witness from a Diocese of Brooklyn influencer who was there in St. Peter's Square for the historic moment. A look at Carlo's journey to sainthood, starting from his life in Milan. Plus, Carlo's name is joining a tribute to other influential modern-day saints, where you can see it when we come back.
Good morning, this is Juan Camilo from Rome, from Vatican City. Look at the crowds. Everybody's gathering here right now. Everything is ready. People are getting here already in St. Peter's Square for the canonization of our beautiful friend, Carlo Acutis and Pier Giorgio Frassati.
He was reporting from Rome, a faith-filled influencer from the Diocese of Brooklyn who got to witness St. Carlo Acutis' canonization live and in person. Now, Juan Camilo Perez, who has gained internet fame for his award-winning Catholic music, joins us from JFK Airport, where he just landed. Welcome home, Juan.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It was a beautiful day yesterday, and today, the craziness of coming back to New York.
I can't imagine. What an experience. You were there as a guest of St. Carlo Acutis' mom. How did that happen? Why did she invite you?
It happened because we know Cardinal Raymond Burke, and he knows he's very close to Miss Antonia and the father of Carlo Acutis, Andrea, and he has been guiding them through this process of canonization, being like a company for the family, a spiritual company. So I told him about my devotion to Carlo, and he said, well, I'm very close to the family. So we got together, and that's how it all happened.
Ah, that's amazing. Now, this is the first time in modern history that the parents were there to witness the canonization of their child. What was that like to stand beside Carlo's family during this whole thing? It must have been really emotional.
Actually, I thought that it was the first time as well, but this is actually the second time because the mother of Maria Goretti was also in the canonization. And I learned that yesterday when I was searching on internet, and I saw a post, and I'm like, wow, Being yesterday in St. Peter's Square with the mother, across from the mother, I was I was sitting right next to the president of Italy. Believe it or not, surrounded by 100,000 policemen and Swiss guard, and I was looking and paying attention to Antonia, and I was looking at her face at the moment of the canonization, and she was like so satisfied. And at that moment, I felt, when every mother prays for the salvation of her sons, her daughters, that's the reward, making us saints. You mothers, when you pray for us, we become saints.
Wow. All right. And I saw the selfie you took with St. Carlo's brother. What's he like? I can't imagine the pressure of growing up as the younger sibling of an actual saint.
Well, working with youth people, with young kids in the parish and in the diocese, you learn to discern a little bit what's happening in their heads. But this kid, Michele, he is shy because I guess everybody's like trying to get a photo with him or getting information. He has a lot of questions about faith, and he doesn't even know what's happening. My brother just became a saint. What's that all about? And he has all these questions in his head. I had the opportunity to talk to him about vocation, and I encouraged him because the mother actually said to the cardinal yesterday at lunch, we had a private lunch in the Vatican gardens with the family and the closest friends. And she was telling the cardinal that Michele is a little confused with what to do with his life. So I said, this is a vocation conversation that I'm gonna have with him. So I went, I got an Aperol Spritz, and I got him a soda, and I walked with him on the Vatican gardens, and I was talking to him about vocation and to becoming a priest. So I hope he prays and he pursues his vocation into the priesthood.
Well, you're the perfect person to talk to him. I know you're the youth pastor at St. Pancras Church in Glendale. How will you use this experience to evangelize in your own parish?
Well, I got so many questions. I think Monsignor Stephen is going to terminate my work in St. Pancras because I brought so many ideas from the Vatican, and I want to do more things for the youth. Actually, we have a very solid youth ministry in our parish, and we have a huge group of altar service. And I'm going to start working with them. We just created a chapel in the School of Religion. And our focus this year is going to be the Eucharist. So during the classes, we just bought a beautiful tabernacle, and we're going to have exposition during the sessions so the kids can come for 5-10 minutes every Tuesday and Wednesday to develop a relationship with the Lord. So that's my first idea.
Well, I love it. We're going to have to come visit you at St. Pancras.
Yes.
Juan Camilo Perez, thank you so much for joining us, and welcome back home.
Thank you, guys. God bless you all. And may St. Carlo Acutis and Pier Giorgio Frassati be with you and inspire you to be Eucharistic adorators and blessing people, okay? God bless.
Thanks, Juan. And you can see Juan's coverage from Rome and check out his music by following him online. Just search for Juan C. Perez H on Instagram and Camilo Perez H on YouTube. Now that we've gotten to see him become a saint, we're scrolling back to the very beginning, taking a look at Carlo's journey to sainthood, starting with his life in Milan.
His name is now known by Catholics around the world, but at one time, Carlo Acutis was just a regular teen.
He lived a daily life with his classmates. He used to do sports. He used to be a normal young boy.
But what his mother Antonia could see in her son that others couldn't was a strong connection to Christ.
Carlo lived this presence of Jesus in everything he used to do. So even also the smallest things.
She says the Bible was his compass, and he lived his life in service to others, helping beggars, the handicapped, and children bullied at his school. But Antonia says his most important work was as a catechist. The Italian teen turned tech whiz created a website outlining Eucharistic miracles from around the world. In doing so, Carlo touched countless people.
Through the computer, Carlo did so many evangelization. So many people that were not going to Mass started to go again to go to Mass. grace to Carlo's exhibition.
When Carlo was 15, he suddenly got very ill. But even while sick, he was still helping others.
He said, I offer my sufferings for the Pope, for the Church, not to go to the purgatory, but to go directly to heaven.
He would be diagnosed with leukemia, but the teen wasn't afraid of death.
But he was not scared about that, because he used to say that death is the passage through the true life.
Carlo returned to the Lord 6 days after entering the hospital. At his funeral, the impact of the future saint came to light.
When he died, the funeral at the church was full of poor people. Everyone wondered what they were doing there. The fact is that Carlo was secretly helping them. The family knew this because, being only 15 years old, he was accompanied by his mother.
Antonia says even now, close to 20 years later, she continues to hear about her son's saintly impact.
And since then, each day, more or less, we receive documentation of a possible healings, a grace, a conversion, many, many miracles. And we have many, many, many. It's not only the two miracles, one for the beatification, one of the canonization.
He did so much in such a short amount of time. Still to come on this special edition of Currents News, thousands around the world tuned in live to watch Carlo become the first millennial saint, including a sanctuary with a special connection to him. And another tribute to the teen from Milan was recently built in the Diocese of Brooklyn. He's joining a list of other influential men and women in the modern century. Welcome back to this special celebrating the canonization of Carlo Acutis. It was a mass that was viewed by thousands around the world, including a special place linked to the first millennial saint. 2 screens were set up at the Sanctuary of the Stripping in Assisi, so pilgrims traveling there to visit the body of St. Carlo could watch his canonization live. The Diocese of Assisi says the celebrations there were heartfelt, with many pilgrims clapping during the canonization rites. Leading up to the Mass, the sanctuary in Assisi reported an influx of people coming to visit Carlo's body. In just 1 year, the number of pilgrims nearly doubled from 550,000 in 2023 to nearly 1 million in 2024. Many say they feel a strong connection to the first millennial saint because they're either the same age he was when he died or from the same generation.
I'm the same age as Carlo Acutis, so for me it's very impactful to stop in front of his body, but especially to reflect on his life, because in just a few short years, he managed to accomplish what many can't do in an entire lifetime. He didn't waste a single minute of his time, but dedicated it all to the Lord. A saint is something wonderful, especially because he's a boy, a young person, and you don't expect that. Well, sometimes what adults fail to do, he actually did.
Carlo's canonization will undoubtedly continue to boost the number of visitors to the city. If you can't travel to Assisi, you can pay tribute to the first millennial saint in a new chapel in Astoria dedicated to modern-day saints.
We are hoping that everybody strives to be a saint.
Monsignor Fernando Farisi, pastor of Immaculate Conception Church, gives us a preview of the Chapel of Today's Saints, a space dedicated to influential holy men and women of the 20th and 21st century, which includes St. Teresa of Calcutta, Mother Frances Cabrini, Pope John Paul II, and of course, St. Carlo Acutis. Before parishioners leave the chapel, a sign at the exit reads, "Your turn now," a reminder that anyone can become a modern-day saint. And that is this Currents News special edition. I'm Christine Persichetti. Thank you for joining us, because we are putting your faith in the news. Before we go, we want to take one last look at this historic moment for the Catholic Church, the canonization of Carlo Acutis. Hope to see you again next time.